Hazbin Hotel is a very interesting show, and Fantasy Pop in general has always had a bit of a special place on this channel. The first video I made that got 1,000 views was my review of Hell of a Boss, and it was mostly positive, which is why this video is a bit of a risk. Me and my friend Invited Devil, you probably remember him from some of my older videos, watched the pilot when it aired 4 years ago, holy shit. But me and him thought it was great, it was funny, well animated, had an interesting story and lore, and a unique art style. It had flaws, sure, but it was great overall. And then me and him waited, and the fan base as a whole was drip-fed news for 4 years, until finally the series released not too long ago. And I watched it. And what did I think? Well, this wouldn't be a very good review if I just told you what I thought right in the intro, would it? Hazbin Hotel takes place in Hell and follows Charlie, the princess of Hell and daughter of the devil. However, despite her unfavorable and cynical location, she's a ball of optimism and wants to open a hotel to rehabilitate sinners and get them into heaven. The other important characters are Vaggie, Charlie's girlfriend and the hotel security, Angel Dust, a sex worker and former mafia boss, who's now sold his soul to a pimp named Valentino, Alistair, a powerful demonic overlord, and also radio host, who was a serial killer in life and is now currently helping Charlie run the hotel, Nifty, a maid with some homicidal tendencies who works under Alistair, and Husker, a cat demon and bartender who also works under Alistair. There's also Lucifer, the 3 V's, and Adam and the Angels, who we'll be getting into a little later. The main conflict of the show is that every year, due to overpopulation in hell, angels come down from heaven and mass murder demons. Charlie wants to use her hotel as a way to stop these exterminations. Unfortunately, after a meeting with Adam, yes, that Adam, she discovers that the angels are coming back in 6 months instead of a year like usual, which serves as the overarching threat of the first season. All 8 episodes of it. Yeah, okay, there's no getting around it. It's time I bring up my biggest problem with the show, and that's the pacing. To give you an idea about how, to be blunt, bad the pacing is, I'm gonna give you a quick walkthrough through season 1, every episode, just so you can see what I mean. Alright, you ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. So, episode 1 starts with introducing us to the characters, the exterminations, the hotel, and mainly focuses on Charlie trying to convince Adam and failing, ending with the big reveal that Adam and the exterminators are coming back in 6 months, and that the reason is because someone killed an angel. Okay, not bad. Introduced us to the characters, the world, all that, in a way that wasn't really super overwhelming. And hooks us with a pretty interesting mystery. I like it. Episode 2 introduces us to Sir Pinchas and the 3 V's and Alistair's rivalry with them, specifically Vox. Sir Pinchas goes to the hotel to spy on them because the 3 V's told him to, and then he's immediately found out. The 3 V's basically abandon him, so he becomes a real patron. Alright, we're still doing pretty well so far. We get introduced to a new main character to keep things fresh, and some antagonists to keep the show interesting. That's pretty good. Okay, so in episode 3, when Alistair has a meeting with a bunch of other overlords, they immediately reveal that this girl, Camilla, is the one who killed the angel. Wait, what? Why? This was introduced like it was going to be some huge overarching mystery for this season, but they reveal it in episode 3? And then she starts singing some song about why she did it, when we've only just met her and they're expecting us to get all emotional about this? We don't know her at all. Okay, but we don't have time for that, alright? Episode 4. We get to learn more about Angel Dust and his abusive relationship with Valentino. That's good. Then we immediately rush into Husker's backstory with Alistair and how he was once an overlord. And over the span of 1 song, him and Angel Dust become best friends when they originally really didn't like each other. The song they sing was nice and all, it's my favorite song in the series, but this feels totally unearned? Okay, no, but we don't have time for that. You see, let's move on to episode 5. We meet Charlie's dad, who's apparently been very distant with her for all her life, and has a weird obsession with rubber ducks. This could be a god-tier biblical reference, but I don't know. Charlie calls him so we can try and get her in contact with heaven, and when he shows up, Alistair has some weird grudge against him, and they both sing a song. In this one episode, Lucifer goes from not believing in her dream at all to getting her portal to heaven so she can talk with the angels themselves. And yep, you better believe that in episode 6, we're already at heaven. They go to court with the seraphim, or just Sarah, and another angel named Emily, and Adam and Lute. Lute is Adam's second in command, who I forgot to mention by the way, to prove a soul can be redeemed, by showing them how far Angel Dust has come, even though the only development we've seen from him is like 1 episode ago. And then, this angel, Emily, immediately changes from looking up to Sarah like a mother, to supporting Charlie fully and singing a duet with her, calling Sarah out, after Adam accidentally reveals the exterminations which were being covered up before. Also, Adam reveals that Vaggie was an angel and an exterminator. Okay, but we don't have time for that, because now Charlie and co have to prepare for the extermination after Alistair reveals that angels aren't invincible and helps her team up with a bunch of cannibals, including one that Alistair is close with, named Rosie, and Vaggie gets trained by Camilla, who, if you'll remember, is the one that killed the angel in the first episode, to learn how to kill an angel. They both succeed. Charlie forgives Vaggie for not telling her that she's an angel. The last episode has them go to an all-out war with the exterminators. Vaggie gets revenge on Lute, who's the one who took her eye out and cut off her wings. Adam kills Serpentius, nearly kills Alistair, and Lucifer comes in and beats the ever-loving shit out of him before Nifty finally does him in, which is a callback to the beginning of the episode. And finally, at the end, it's revealed that Lilith, Charlie's mom, is in heaven, and after Sir Pinchas died, he went to heaven, which means that redemption is possible, and Charlie was right. You got all that? Good. Yeah, you see, this is what happens when a show is given 8 24 episodes in a season to tell its story. I don't blame the crew of the show a single bit for this. I'm 100% sure this is on Amazon. Because this isn't actually the only show that Amazon gave 8 episodes to tell its whole story, which massively affected the pacing. The other show I'm talking about is... Yep, that's right. The hit adult superhero show Invincible, that you probably heard about from the meme before you watched it, also got affected by Amazon's 8-episode fixation. In the Invincible comic, Omni-Man's whole betrayal and murdering of the Guardians of the Globe happens in the 7th issue. In the show, it happens at the end of the 1st episode. Invincible had to radically change the points in which plot points occur to tell the main story they'd like to tell within the 8-episode limit. The only difference being that Invincible episodes are longer, which gives them more time to flesh out things within a single episode. The 8-episode limit works for Invincible, even if they had to change so much around in order to fit within it. However, Hazbin Hotel episodes are half the length, meaning that there's way less time for everything to be properly fleshed out and explored. This series really could have done with a longer season, maybe like 20 episodes at least, so we can space out big reveals and keep mysteries running for longer. I'm not one for fixing things or rewriting things that much, but here's what I would do with the major plot points if I were writing a season for this, and it was assumedly longer. So in the first episode, let's say Vaggie has the same whole plot where she's making a commercial and everything, but instead of Charlie going to meet Adam, she's just trying to spread the word on the streets. The next episode would pretty much be the same as the second episode in the actual show. It would introduce us to Sir Pinchas and the V's and all that, and Sir Pinchas would be a spy, and then he would be caught. Then we'd have a few more episodes, then we'd get to the episode where Alistair has a meeting with a bunch of overlords. And this is where we learn about the dead angel. When Velvet comes in and throws it on there, that's when we learn someone killed an angel. For then, we thought they were invincible. And instead of Camilla immediately fessing up to it, this episode basically turns into a whodunit with all the overlords questioning each other because they just assumed that it must have been one of them, and we get to learn all about them, their motivations, why they might have done this, all that. And after some episodes, we'd get the part with Charlie's dad visiting the hotel and everything, where he develops from not believing in her to kind of getting close to there, but still not fully believing in her dream. And then later on, we'd get the episode with Husker and Angel bonding, except we'd have more development from the two of them, so it's not just really forced. And the season would end with the meeting with Adam, and the big reveal that the next extermination is coming way sooner than anyone thought it would, which leaves us on a dramatic cliffhanger about where Charlie and the gang are going to go from here. The next season would be where we get to see Heaven and get more expansion on that lore and everything, and have the whole war with the exterminators. Because if we had a whole season before it, stuff like Sir Pinchas dying would be a bit more emotional. Like, it wouldn't feel pretty hollow, because we'd get to know him a little more. We get to know a little more about who he is and what drives him. And we'd also get to see him redeemed more. And also, in my hypothetical season 2, Emily wouldn't immediately go on Charlie's side. She'd instead try to rationalize what Sarah was doing. Because, she can't be that bad, right? She had to have a reason for doing these exterminations. And the ending of this hypothetical season 2 would be when Sir Pinchas shows up, and it would kind of end up being her whole breaking point. Listen, what I'm writing isn't perfect. I don't think it is. There are definitely flaws people are going to point out in the comments, but at least it feels a bit more structured and better paced. I tried to make some real arcs instead of characters kind of changing on a dime because they don't have time to have a multi-episode arc for their character. I just really hope that the next season gets more episodes, because they clearly need them. The 8-episode seasons do not work for a show like this. They worked for Invincible, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for every show. It's super limiting, and doesn't work for most shows, and clearly holds back the show from being as good as it could be. Alright, now that I've gotten my biggest and mainest criticism out of the way, let's move on to something else, shall we? Ooh, how about the comedy? The show may be poorly paced, but is it funny? Well, the show definitely can be funny, but it is not consistently funny due to the fact that it falls into the big pitfall that so many adult shows do. The idea that swearing, or saying something vulgar, is the joke.
I got you again, bitch! Fucking hilarious! You know who I am? I'm fucking Adam. I'm the original Dick. All dicks descend from me. You think you want drummer Dick? No way.
Mr. Adam, sir.
Call me Dickmaster. Fucking love putting my name on shit. Shit's the best!
It's a solution to our biggest problem.
Oh, herpes. Yeah, that's a bitch.
You're doing great, vagina.
It means we're all royally fucked.
Many of the jokes in the show rely on you finding the fact that they said a swear word or something vulgar and crass to put you in absolute hysterics. And if it's not swearing, then it's sex jokes or drug jokes. As in, the joke is sex and or drugs. The jokes definitely do get better as the series goes on, not relying on swearing quite as much, but it's still pretty rough and still relies on them quite heavily, which sucks because when the show isn't just swearing or being vulgar, it can actually be pretty funny. I get that this is a pretty tired complaint at this point that everyone else has made, but it's still a big problem I have with this show, and with Vivzy Pop's writing in general. I should clarify, I do not have a problem with shows being vulgar or crass. I don't need my show to have some highbrow humor that you need a high IQ to understand. I just prefer my jokes to be a little more complex than fuck. Now laugh. Please? Okay, so the pacing's bad, and the humor is inconsistent. Is there anything you liked about the show, Emerald? Oh, The animation is pretty fucking great. Yeah, I can't really argue that. The animation is really on point. Some of the most impressive animation for a mainstream adult cartoon I've seen. It's all really smooth and fluid, with character designs that don't feel like the designer watched Family Guy and said, hey, let's just do that, but even more ugly. One of my favorite animation details is how Alistair's expressions are done. Alistair has a permanent smile on his face, which you may think is limiting to the emotions he can portray, but no, even though he's always got a permanent grin on his face, you can almost always tell exactly how he's feeling. It's really impressive how they can show all these different emotions just by changing how his smile looks and changing his eyes. You never really question how he's feeling, but that smile always makes it feel like he's in control and never too worried about anything. So yeah, the animation is really impressive and beautiful. But, with a but, one of my biggest problems with the animation is how samey a lot of the designs are. Here's the thing, I've always been a pretty big defender of Vivzie Pop and her art style, but even I have to say that some of these character designs are pretty much just recolors, the most egregious of being Vox and Alistair. They both pretty much have the same proportions, except Vox is wearing a different colored suit, and he has a big TV on his head. I will say this probably was intentional to an extent, since, Vox is a TV host and Alistair's radio host. It's video versus radio. Even then, there's better ways to portray that without making them have the literal same proportions, just with different outfits. I feel like characters like Sonic and Shadow are a good example of this. They canonically look similar, and yeah, their designs are similar, but they changed stuff about Shadow so he didn't look the exact same, because that would have looked a lot dumber. And yeah, when you look at concept art for Shadow, when he was literally a Sonic recolor, he looks a lot worse, even though it does make a little bit more sense from a story perspective. A lot of Hazbin characters have very similar proportions, with a few things added on to differentiate them, which is fine, I guess, but in my opinion, when you're making a bunch of characters for a show, when you line them all up, it should kind of feel like a roller coaster for your eyes. And while there are some characters that break from this mold, there's not enough, in my opinion. You can't even praise one thing without having some tacked on criticism at the end. Is there anything you liked in this show? Jesus fucking Christ. The music was pretty good. All the songs are amazing. If I had to criticize something, it's that the songs are a bit too poppy for my tastes. I much prefer the more Broadway style songs. That's why Loser Baby is my favorite song in the series. And I'm aware that this is entirely a personal thing. Another problem I had, which doesn't really have to do with the songs itself, it more just has to do with their placement, I guess, that there's a bit too much of them. I'm not going to go back and count it, but I'm pretty sure every episode had at least 2 songs, and usually more. And, okay, yes, I get that that's a little silly to complain about in a video about a musical show, but not every episode needs a song. I really like Steven Universe, and you can't stop me. Fuck you. And they don't have a song literally in every episode, and I think that makes the episodes with songs a bit more memorable. But these are more personal things, I know. This isn't gonna be a problem for everyone. So objectively, the songs are pretty good, but I could have done with them being spaced out a bit more, but this is also probably due to them only having 8 episodes. I'm not even saying the more pop ones are bad, I'm just saying they're really not my preference. So, overall, Hazbin Hotel has potential. It really does. But it's held back by the restrictive length of the season and the very inconsistent quality of the humor, as well as some samey character designs, and I didn't bring it up before, but also some of the characters are a bit cluttered for my taste. I really hope it improves as it goes, since a lot of this could be growing pains, and most shows have a bit of a rocky start. Even some of my favorite shows have a bit of a rough first season. So, even though it's a bit rough now, I have hope. I truly think with time, it could be a masterpiece. Just give it some more episodes a season, please? Alright, I think that's going to be it for me. If you liked the video, why don't you like it? If you didn't, call me a stinky doo-doo head in the comments. If you want to see more from me, subscribe and turn on notifications. I have way more videos coming very soon. I've been Emerald, and bye.
Did somebody say demon? Oh.